No matter where you come from, no matter where you're going, here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether if you've come to stay a while or just passing through, this door is open to you. Come and let's be silent. Come and share a hug. Come, let's pray together. Come, love and be loved. From the blissed out to the turned out, from the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. The God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you.
Morning, y'all. Good morning. Have y'all all stand up, sing our first song together. Rise up this morning. Rise up and say, love is alive in my heart, in my life today. I can feel it, spirits in this place. I can see it shining on each face. Rise up this morning. Rise up and say, love is alive in our hearts, in our lives today. All sounding amazing out there. Here for each other, the way it's meant to be. Sisters and brothers, one great family. So rise up this morning. Rise up and say, love is alive everywhere in the world. When? Today. All right, everyone put your hands together. Rise up this morning. Rise up and say, sing it out. Love is alive in my heart, in my life, everywhere in the world, every place, in this place. Love is alive.
Anyway, spring is coming. And we rejoice in that. I always feel so inspired to see the new life and vitality out there in the world, just a reminder of the cycle of life and always the new possibilities unfolding for us. In that spirit of good life and vitality, I just want to draw to your attention a little insert that you received today in your program. We went to a little special effort this week to share with you some tips on really being mindful of your own personal hygiene. We know this is flu season. We know there's all sorts of things going around, all sorts of talk out there about illness, the coronavirus, etc. We're not affirming that, of course, not seeing that as a part of our reality, but nevertheless, this time of year is just really smart to practice good personal hygiene. And in particular, wash your hands. Just like your mom said, wash your hands, take 20 seconds to do that, washing very thoroughly. All the tips are there on your little sheet there. And I know we've got some folks who are staying home today because they're not feeling well. And while we miss you, we appreciate your consideration and not spreading whatever germs you may have. And affirm good health for each and every one of you. We know that good health is an everyday practice through your good nutrition and your self-care. This is a good time of year to remember that. So blessings to all of you as we affirm good health for all. Well, unity is a positive path for spiritual living. We follow the teachings and the example of our way shower, Jesus, in seeking to more fully love ourselves, love God, and love one another, which means it's all about love. It's all about love. And in that spirit of love here at Unity Renaissance, we honor all paths to God, all names for God, and all expressions of God. And should you ever forget, I'm here to remind you that each and every one of you, and each and every one of you watching online today, you're an expression of God. When we truly know that, when we know that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, when we connect with that divine light within us and we behold it in one another, that light just shines all the more brightly out into the world. Our vision at Unity Renaissance is, together, a spiritually awakened world living in peace, love, and joy. And we are manifesting that vision through our mission, which is, together, we transform lives that transform the world. Yes, indeed. Let's begin our time together this morning in prayer. I invite you to close your eyes, take a deep breath in, release and let go. We just set aside any random thoughts, any distractions. Here we are, right where we're supposed to be. Sweet Spirit, on this beautiful Sunday morning, we are filled with gratitude to be together in spiritual community. We're so grateful for the opportunity to learn and grow together, to share our insights with one another, to be that open embrace, that welcoming look, that accepting community. Today we know that each of us in our own way will be giving blessings to others that we don't even know about, that we make a difference simply by being here, by being who we are. And at the same time, we are wide open to receive our good and whatever blessings come our way. For this process of giving and receiving, moving ever closer to God, we're so grateful. Thank you, God, and so it is. Amen. I'm going to take just a moment to introduce our guest speaker today. He is no stranger to Unity Renaissance. Actually is one of our congregants here. He's been traveling a bit lately, but we know him well. So let me tell you about Curtis Jones. He is a veteran, a life coach, a motivational speaker, the creator of the Ascension Over Depression workshops. We had 2 of those here, which are absolutely amazing. Did a beautiful, beautiful job. He's also the author of 5 books. One of those books will be for sale out there in the narthex after the service today. In his free time, he enjoys running and hanging out with his wife, Hannah, and his 2 children, Jada and Julian. They're all sitting right over there. And you can connect with Curtis after the service today to chat a little bit with him if you'd like and learn more about his ministry. Curtis, will you just stand so we can recognize you and welcome you this morning? All right, now let's all stand for our next congregational song.
Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me. Oh,
invite you to join me now in our divinity salute as we turn to greet our neighbor with a bow, a handshake, or a hug. Together, the divine in me greets the divine in you, and we serve and celebrate together for the glory of God.
God needs us to shine His light as me, as you so use me. Oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do.
You may be seated.
Good morning, everyone. So wonderful to see all of you out there and to imagine all of you out there watching us online. My name is Lisa Smith, and I am your platform host for this morning, and I will be sharing with you our daily word. Our word for the day is healing. And if you will join me, please, in our affirmation up here. I am life, the radiant life of God. When I'm experiencing illness or pain from an injury, I may forget that wholeness is my natural state of being. As I focus on symptoms, the feeling of illness or injury may grow stronger. It's then I remember the truth. I am a living expression of God, created in God's image and likeness. Divine life, the very life of God, is my spiritual inheritance. In prayer, I align my thoughts and feelings with the power of life. As I move deeply into prayer, any lingering thoughts of illness or injury dissolves. With my faith-inspired vision, I see the energy of life circulating everywhere in my body, bringing renewed vitality. Every cell of my body glows with the power of life. Our reading for today comes from John 10:10. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. On that note, we have prayer chaplains who are available to pray with you after the service today. They'll be sitting in the chapel waiting for you. The chapel is outside of the narthex. And would our prayer chaplains for today please stand? Oh, we have 3 of them. Wonderful. So, yes. So join them in the chapel after for whatever your needs are. And with the rest of us, please stand and join us in the Lord's Psalm.
We praise your name, your will in heaven and earth the same. Supply our needs, Lord, from day to day. Let your forgiveness light our way. Lead us away from temptation's hold. Deliver us, Lord, into your fold. For all the kingdom, power, and praise, with you began and with you stay.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever.
Good morning. Happy Sunday. It's Monday. Just pretend. One more Monday. I could fly some things to my back and walk out that door. I could fall in that same old trap, feeling safe and sound and bored. I've been hanging on this limb so long, I'm so over it. I might fall flat on my face, but then again, what if I fly? Then will I feel the freedom on my skin? What if I close my eyes, trust the wind, and just lean in? I'll get there if I dare, if I fly. I'm so tired waiting for some guy on a horse to wake me from this dream. There's no diet plan or hero pill that can restore my self-esteem. And there's no fairy freaking godmother Cinderella shoes that can change my life somehow. There's just me and my best shot, and Nike saying just do it. Do it now, and if I fly, what if I feel the freedom on my skin? What if I close my eyes, trust the wind, and just lean in? I'll get there if I dare, if I fly. Oh yeah. Oh, it's Monday. Yep, still Monday. And I'm sitting here drinking my cup of joe, reading my horoscope. And it says the longest journey starts with one small step. And I'm like, hello? I've been sitting here resting my bones till I'm blue in the face. And I could so what myself, but so what if my heart breaks? So what if I fall down? So what if I fly? Then will I feel the freedom on my skin? What if I close my eyes, trust the wind, and just lean in? I'll get there if I that door. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna fly? You can fly. Are you gonna fly? Just have some faith. Y'all can fly. If I fly.
Right here, Felicia.
Thank you. Curtis Jones, welcome to the stage.
One of the greatest business books that's ever been written opens with a story about a young African American girl who is the daughter of a sharecropper. Now this sharecropper, the mom, she speaks to the daughter and she says, I want you to go to the owner of the land and I want you to ask him to send my 50 cents. Now the little girl, she says, okay, Mom, I'll do it. She goes to the warehouse, and as she gets there, she pulls back the door, walks in. He's there doing his work. He notices that she's there, and he looks up and he says, what do you want? And she says, my mammy says you need to send her 50 cents. And the man says, well, I won't do it, so scram. And she says, yes, sir. But she did not move an inch. Now, the man who's telling the story is the nephew of the uncle who's the owner, and he said that he thought that he was about to witness a murder at this time because, obviously, children didn't speak to adults that way, but especially African Americans didn't speak to this man this way. So anyway, the man says to her, he says, now, I just told you to leave. Why are you still here? Get out of here before I take a switch to you. And the girl says, yes, sir. But she doesn't move an inch. The man picks up a barrel stave. He starts running at her as fast as he can. She still doesn't retreat. She takes one step forward. As soon as he gets 3 feet away, she takes one step forward, looks him dead in his eye, and says, my mammy says she's gotta have that 50 cents. And he stopped. He put the barrel stave down. He dug into his pocket. He pulled out 50 cents, and he gave it to the little girl. Now, the little girl, she never took her eyes off the guy. She backs out, nice and easy, and then she goes on her way. Now, the nephew who saw all of this happen, he had no clue how this happened. However, what he says is his uncle, went over to the window and stared out the window for 30 minutes, pondering the whipping that he had just taken from this little girl. He didn't understand it himself. However, he said that he used the principles from that little girl to become the best insurance salesman of his time. What did she have? She knew what she wanted, and she had the determination to never leave until she got what she came for. There is a story, a poem, by a mystical Muslim poet named Hafiz. And he lived hundreds of years ago. I don't know exactly how long, but he lived hundreds of years ago. And he has a poem, it's called Dropping Keys, and it talks about how this little girl could become the biggest person in the room, even though she was the smallest person in the room. So it says, it opens up by saying, the small man builds cages for everyone he knows. But the sage, who has to duck his head when the moon is low, like he's not small, he's so big that he might bump his head on the moon if the moon just happens to be low like it was last night. So the sage, who has to duck his head when the moon is low, he keeps dropping keys all night long for all the beautiful, rowdy prisoners. Now here's the contrast. The small man is constantly making other people feel small. But the big woman, the big person, they're so big that they might bump their head on the moon like this little girl. They're constantly giving out keys and liberating other people. You see, the danger of thinking small is that we compel other people to think and live small as well. The magic of thinking big is that we call people out of their shell and help them to ascend to all of their beauty, to all of their majesty, to all of their strength, and to all of their power. That's the magic of thinking big. Today, I want to speak with you about living into your largeness. Living into your largeness through three ways. The first way is dreaming big. The second way is getting a new image for yourself, or what I like to call stretching your psychological stature. And the third way is following your passion, or following your dreams, or following those intuitive nudges that you get from inside, or from the universe, or from wherever you like to think that they come from. So let's start out with dreaming big. You guys ready? Okay. So some of you, if you were at Ascension Over Depression, one of my workshops, you might have heard this story, but there was a guy who had just lost his job. He's in his mid-20s. He had just lost his job, and he's starting to get depressed. He's got a third kid on the way. He has no money. He has no idea how he's going to provide for his family, and his wife really sees all the turmoil that he's in, and so she gets this book called The Magic of Thinking Big, and she slips it to him and says, "Hey, why don't you read this?" So he's like, okay. So he reads this book. In the book, it suggests that you write down this exercise, that you write down, you throw off impossibility, and you write down all the things that you want to accomplish in your lifetime, regardless of how ridiculous you think that they are. So he's like, okay, I'll take you up on this. He writes down 107 things. One of them was, I'd love to meet the Pope one day. Another was, I want to go to the White House and meet the president. Another was, I'd like to become the head coach of Notre Dame. The other thing he said is, I want to win so many championships and this, that, and the other. Now, these things are all impossible for a 25-year-old kid who's just lost his job. He's depressed, and he doesn't see himself as having any opportunities or any possibilities. But he just went ahead with the exercise. In 1999 or 2000, something like that, he had already accomplished over 100 of those things. And one of the things was even a hole-in-one. He'd gotten 2 holes in one, and he became the head coach of Notre Dame. We're talking about the legendary football coach, Lou Holtz. This was the beginning of his story, when he was depressed and had nothing, and his wife slipped him this book about changing his mindset. The magic of thinking big. My brother is an artist, and when he graduated from Virginia Commonwealth University, he says to me, I don't ever want to work for anybody. And I'm like, man, how's that going to work out for you, man? I mean, man, artists already have it hard. And so for the past 20 years, he's, done T-shirts and CD covers and murals and paintings and all kinds of stuff, just living the life of the struggling artist. But this last year, a company gave him the rights to reproduce their multi-million-dollar company in Philly and take it all the way to Oakland. And so he did that, and Whole Foods paid him $40,000 for one massive mural that he did on the side of the wall, and that wasn't even his biggest project. He had about 7 projects paying that kind of money, getting paid for one painting, more than many people get paid in a whole year. $45,000, $75,000 for one painting. But it started with his vision. He said he didn't want to work for anybody. And now he is the CEO without any attachments to the other company. They said, you just take it and run with it. Take our idea and run with it. Do something new. They just gave it to him. But it started with his vision. I don't want to work for anybody else. I want to be a CEO. I want to be the boss. And now he is that. Now he's got, for the first time in his life, he has employees and these kinds of things. It's a massive shift for an artist. So Shel Silverstein has a poem called Listen to the Mustn'ts. And it says this. It says, listen to the mustn'ts, child. Listen to the don'ts. Listen to the shouldn'ts, the impossibles, the won'ts. Listen to the never haves, then listen close to me. Anything can happen, child. Anything can be. Isn't that beautiful? Doesn't that give you goosebumps just hearing it? Anything can be. But we don't always hear this, and so we have to learn how to remind ourselves not only to dream big, but that we can accomplish the things. And it doesn't matter if we fail along the way. We put those wings on, as she was talking about, and we just get out there. It doesn't matter if we drop. Doesn't matter. It's just life. Do it as a kid when we're learning to walk all the time. So that's the first thing, is learning how to dream big. Get a new vision for your life. Now we're going to move in and transition into the second part, which is getting a new image for yourself, or what I like to call stretching your psychological stature. And so I'm going to tell you guys about one of my favorite cartoons. It's called Kung Fu Panda. Anybody ever heard of it? Okay. So don't let the name fool you. It packs a heavy punch. But Kung Fu Panda is this overweight, out-of-shape panda who wants to be a legendary Kung Fu master. And he doesn't really want to be it. He dreams about it, but he knows that he will never actually become that. But then there is this, through some crazy circumstances of events, the Yoda of the movie, his name is Oogway. He's a turtle, and he points this panda out as being the next dragon warrior to save the Valley of Peace. Okay? And the dragon warrior is the only one who can read the dragon scroll, who can open it and read the dragon scroll. Now, the dragon scroll has all the knowledge. If you don't read this scroll, you don't become the dragon warrior, and you cannot defend all of the Valley of Peace and keep peace from the evil Tai Lung who's coming, who's a tiger, and he's going to destroy all the other animals. Okay? Now, Oogway dies. And now all they have is Po. He's been doing his training, but he knows he's nothing to be able to compete with this tiger who's coming. And so they give him the dragon scroll, and he opens it. And he just can't wait to read it. And there's nothing there. Absolutely nothing. So the town all the animals start evacuating the city because they're like, what are we going to do? Like, that's it. We don't have the dragon scroll. We don't have a dragon warrior. We're all going to die. We're just going to leave. So they all start evacuating. Poe's dad, who is a goose, I don't know how a goose became the father of a panda. He adopted, obviously. But he sees that Poe's down, and he's like, Poe, do you want me to tell you something special? And he's like, yeah. He thinks he's going to tell him who his real dad is. And he said, do you want to hear about the secret ingredient to my soup that's made my restaurant so successful? And he's like, okay, yeah, I'll hear that. Tell me about it. So he's like, the secret ingredient is, and he goes, nothing. And he's like, what do you mean there's nothing? You don't have like a special sauce or something like that? And he's like, no, there's no special sauce. You don't need a special sauce for something to be special. All you have to do is believe that it's special. Poe pulls back out the dragon scroll and sees that mirror. And he says, there is no secret ingredient. I am the dragon warrior. Oogway wasn't just an old fool. He saw it in himself now. The one mirroring, you can pull it out of other people by speaking life and seeing what they don't see. Like there's an old saying that says, the good archer can hit a target that no one else can hit. But the expert archer can hit the target that no one else can see. Do you see that? Same with a mentor. A good mentor can tell you things about yourself that no one else will tell you. But the expert mentor will tell you things about yourself that no one else, including you, can't even see. They'll call that out of you. And that's magical. You need that. But what's more magical is when you start to see it for yourself. And that's what happened when he reopened this mirror and got to see that. I call that the magical mirroring process, where you get to start to see things in yourself that no one else can see. Real life. I'm in a hospital. I'm a grief counselor. An 85-year-old woman her husband is about to die, and he's on his deathbed. And she's so concerned about how she's going to make it through to, all these things that she needs to learn how to do taxes. She needs to learn how to take care of the house. She needs to learn how to pay all the bills. He didn't leave her any of the passcodes or any of that stuff. And he's on his deathbed, and he says to her, I see a tiger in you. Now, she's about this tall, little Hispanic woman. She doesn't feel like a tiger, but she never forgot what he said. And she came to our group for 2 years, and she became one of the pillars of that grief group because she had this vision of what her husband gave to her, that I see more strength in you than you see in yourself. And I showed her this picture that you guys have probably seen on Facebook, where the little kitten runs up to the puddle and stops. And when he looks, or he or she looks into the puddle, there's a massive tiger looking back. That's the mirroring process. That's how we have to see ourselves when we come upon our own puddles in life. So that's the second thing. It's getting a new image for yourself, or stretching your psychological stature of what's possible for you as a person. So now we're going to move on to our third transition, and that is, somebody help me. Oh, following your passion. Yes, following your hunches, following your passion, following your dreams. So where was I going to go with that one? Who knows? Let's check the notes. The Alchemist. Who's read The Alchemist? Okay, a lot of readers. Okay, so in The Alchemist, there's a little boy, and he has this dream one night. He's in Spain, and he's a shepherd, and he's told in the dream that if he leaves Spain and he travels all the way to Egypt by himself, he leaves everything behind, he will find there a special treasure just for him. And he wakes up electrified about this dream. And then the doubt set in. And he's like, nah, I'm not going to leave all this stuff behind. I'm not leaving my family. I'm not leaving my sheep. I'm not leaving anything. And so he's walking through the town that day, and he bumps into another key dropper, an old wise man. And the wise man says to him, I know about the dream that you had last night. And the boy says, how in the world could you possibly know about my dream? And he said, well, I don't know if you're going to follow it, but if you do, you will find your treasure. And now he's like, wow, he really does know my dream. He's not just some crazy old man. And he says, well, how could you possibly know that if I leave, then I'll find my treasure? And he says the famous line that has spread around the world 1,000,000 times over, when somebody deeply desires something, everything in the universe conspires with them to achieve it. You can actually bend reality, and the universe will begin to work with you in that way. So, in my story, we were over in California, and when we were over in California, I told my wife, I said, Hannah, I really want to be a life coach, a speaker, and an author. And she was like, okay, well, when we hit the lottery, you can do that. I mean, we couldn't afford to make that kind of a change. And so I said, okay, I had just read The Secret, and one of the things that they say in The Secret is, visualize your goal as if it's already been achieved. And I had seen this work in my life a little bit at certain times, but I said, okay, I want to do it in a bigger way. So I started imagining that we had enough finances for me to be able to hand my resignation papers to my boss. That's what I'm imagining. It's now the fall of 2016, and in June of 2017, I'm handing my resignation papers to my boss. Now, I could have done that any day, but we wouldn't have had the finances to do that. So that's what it was all about. In May of 2017, I had a dream one night that I'm on this massive Navy ship, probably like 5 stories high, and I'm being asked to leap into the water. Now, I know I'm going to put on my wings, as she sung about earlier, and try to make this leap. However, there's something in the water, and I don't want to hit this thing on the way down. And so I'm trying to navigate it, and then I woke up. And when I woke up, I felt as electrified as the little boy in The Alchemist. I was like, oh my God, we've got a massive shift coming. Hannah, we've got a massive shift coming. And she's like, she knows how idealistic I can be, so she's like, please don't quit your job. So I was like, listen, I'll never do anything that's going to put our family in jeopardy, but I'm just saying I've had dreams like this before. I know something awesome is about to happen. And she's like, okay, well, we'll see. 2 weeks later, she gets a job opportunity at Portsmouth Naval Hospital on the other side of the country, basically from Long Beach to Virginia Beach, basically. And that job was paying double anything that we would have gotten out there, that she would have gotten out there. And the cost of living is so much lower in Long Beach as compared to, Virginia Beach as compared to Long Beach, that for us, in a way, it was like hitting the lottery. So I said, don't take the job if it's not a good fit for you. But she said, listen, I'll think about it. So she thinks about it. She comes back a couple weeks later. She says, had you not told me about your dream and about you been so solid on your intuition, I would have said, there's no way that we're moving across the country while I'm 7 months pregnant for a new job. It's not going to happen. However, since you told me about your dream and you were so solid on your intuition, I am going to take this job, and if you would like, this would be the perfect time to write your book and do all of this. And she said, I only have one stipulation for you. I said, what's that? She said, you've got to take care of the baby. And I was like, we've got a deal type thing. However, on the way across the country, we stopped at her brother's house, my brother-in-law's house, and we stayed the night there. And I had a dream that night, which became the contents of the book that I just wrote last year. I feel, had we not taken that leap, there's no way that I've been able to write a book, but I wouldn't have been able to write that book type thing. So follow your dreams. Follow your hunches, the intuitive nudges. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be the little things that are spoken over your life. Thank you. So at Paula's special request, she asked me to do a poem. I'm going to do a poem. This poem is inspired by Apple's Crazy Ones commercials, where they're kind of listing people like the Dalai Lama and like Mother Teresa and like Martin Luther King and the Gandhi and all of these iconic characters from history. and how they thought differently and how they had to be a little bit crazy in order to become the people that they became. So this poem is inspired by that commercial. Specifically, we overcome every difficulty by taking every thought into the captivity of thinking differently. Subliminally, the image of love influences us mystically and mythically. We tell spiritual stories to one another reciprocally of triumphing mentally and spiritually over every enemy. Here's to the misfits, the foolish ones who think differently. They're not fond of simplicity. They live unconventionally, existing at a different level of intensity. They add elasticity and flexibility to what's inflexibly rigid, bringing warmth to the frigid systems of existence. You can hate them acidically, discredit their credibility, or oppose them ritualistically. Look down on them cynically, say they became great accidentally, rain on them torrentially, or see brilliance academically. You can look and see density, or see a lovely symphony. About the only thing you can't do is disqualify their eligibility. Why? Because they change history. Everything in existence moves them restlessly onto destiny backed by infinity. Their spirit is immensity. They overcome resiliently and follow their hearts existentially. Though they may be misunderstood until the next century, we see their opponents as only minimally convincing, simply for a time. Because in them, there's a tendency for the divine to visit Earth coincidentally. And while some may see misfits and foolishness, we see wisdom and genius. Because the ones who are crazy enough to think they can live and love limitlessly are the ones who actually do. So now it's your turn. For our meditation, there are no limits. I want you to imagine if you could wake up tomorrow or 5 years from now and be who you wanted to be, and there were no limits, like the wife who gave the magic of thinking big to Lou Holtz, and he became all of these things. It doesn't have to be big, but just something that you've always wanted to do and you've never done or become. Who would you be? Think about that person now. I have a poem that says, I keep holding up the mirror of the sun so you can see the stunning reflections of everything you're becoming. Close your eyes, see that person. What would you do? Who would you be? As the Alchemist tells us, everything in the universe is conspiring, will conspire for you to become that person. Thank you.
That was amazing. Let's give it up for Curtis. And while we're at it, let's give some appreciation to Hannah. Thank you for saying yes, bringing your family our way. Well, this is the time in our service for sharing our love offering. I invite you to give in that beautiful spirit of gratitude and abundance that is the truth. And those of you watching online, I particularly want to send out a thank you to you because I know you also are giving online, whatever way works for you. And that includes using text to give. If you're interested in doing that, you can get yourself set up by texting the word give to 540-418-1228. As you're preparing your gift, it's my great joy to bring up our board president, Valerie Winters, who would like to share a few words about prosperity. Welcome, Valerie.
Good morning. Like Paula said, I have the privilege of serving as your board president, and I've been on the board for about 3 or 4 years now, so this is my last year. As I thought about my talk this morning, I thought about what prosperity meant, and part of that came when I was talking to Gavin. Y'all may know Gavin. Last week he was the only elementary kid here, so he kind of took over the stage for a few minutes. He's the son of a couple of my really good friends. He comes to church every Sunday. He's not here this week. He's with his mom this weekend. I asked him what he thought about prosperity, because he's been listening to the Prosperity 3 CDs with me in the car on the way to wherever we're going, whether it's to church or we're off on a little adventure or whatever. And he said, they're interesting. Some good stuff in there. And then he'll question some of the points that Mary's making in her talks. We talked about dreams, how you reach them, letting go of fears or obstacles to them, and then creating a vision for your dream. And one of his visions is he likes to travel. He's always, let's go on a trip. Let's go here. Let's go there. I'd have to live to be about 200 years old to go everywhere he wants me to take him. But we're going to start with Japan. He wants to go to Kyoto, and we're creating a vision for that. He's picked out the bullet trains we're going to ride. And if you've talked to Gavin, he loves his trains. And we've picked out a hotel we want to stay at. It's a traditional type of hotel. You sleep on the mats on the floor, you have the low tables, that kind of thing. And that's what we want to do. And that's our dream, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to create a vision board for that. And I found in explaining the concept of prosperity and dreams to him that I had to dig a little bit deeper, because even though I knew what prosperity meant, I wasn't necessarily able to verbalize it as well as I would have liked. So I looked up the word prosperity. And it's defined metaphysically as the consciousness of God as the abundant, everywhere present resource, unfailing, ready for all who will open up themselves to go through it with faith. And that made a lot of sense, and I realized that was what I was trying to convey to Gavin in a lot of our conversations, but I really never thought of prosperity like that until I read the definition and I was taking Prosperity 3. It's not just about your finances. It's about every aspect of your life. How I live each day, how I treat people, how I treat myself, how I eat, how I react to situations or other people and their situations, etc. Prosperity 3 is about full spectrum wealth. And I've got one more class left. And Mary Morrissey talks about that, about all aspects of your life, financial, personal, health, your work and your job, and how all of that is interconnected. And I think sometimes we forget about that because we try to compartmentalize things. We say, okay, this happened at work, I'm not going to worry about that today, this is my health, and it doesn't interact, but they do. My goal this year is to take responsibility for my actions, or to own what is mine to own. My big takeaway from Prosperity 3 has been to set goals and work towards them, knowing that nothing is too big if you take the steps each day towards that goal. And I take that approach in my role as your board president, because my goal in this role is that we will not leave our youth with a mortgage. When that expansion is complete, so will the payments. So that when our kids go into that building, it's theirs. In Mary Morrissey's class, she talks about her church building a $10 million complex in 10 months. They had a 10-year plan, but they did it in 10 months. And I thought, if her church could do that in 10 months, build a $10 million complex, then there's no reason that we can't build a $1.3 million expansion and be done with it, paying for it, in the amount of time that we've set. Because in the June, we're going to walk into that. It's going to be ours. And we can do that. I believe firmly that we can do that without a mortgage, because I know that this congregation can do that.
Amen to that.
And as I come to the end of this class, I've renewed my commitment to intertwine all aspects of my life. And I realize as I talk to Gavin, he expects me to show him how it works, not just tell him how it works, to walk the walk. And so we owe that not just to our children, but to ourselves as well. So take a look inward and ask yourself, what is your dream and how are you going to get there? What can you do today, right now, from where you are, with what you have, to take another step towards that dream? Can you call an old friend to solve a hurt that's been lingering? Can you volunteer your time? Can you give a little bit more to Turning Point? Can you give a little bit more to operations? Can you pay off that bill that's been lingering and you just keep paying a little bit here and there? Can you forgive an old hurt? Whatever it is, take that tiny little step and just step into your dream. Thank you.
Wonderful. Much appreciation for you, Valerie. All right. Well, the ushers, please come forward. I invite you to hold your gift in your hand, just blessing it with all that wonderful energy that is you. And let's join in our offertory blessing together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
Great message today from both. Val as well. Way to go, Val. Thanks. This is a song from two of my favorite songwriters. There's a burning feeling in the bottom of your soul that only your heart understands. Everybody's got a little love inside to give away. All we really need is a chance. 'Cause time is wasted. You don't have to wait another minute to let your dreams take you to the limit. Shine on. Shine on. Open up and let your light shine on. Shine on, shine on, open up and let the light shine on. Well, even if you've never had a moment in your life when you were free enough to let yourself go, it's okay to take a little leap of faith sometimes. How will you ever know? The world is waiting for you to share the gifts that you've been given. It's never too late for a new beginning. So shine on, shine on. Just open up and let your light shine on. Oh, just take you to the limit. Just shine on, shine on.
Everybody up, come on.
Open up and let your light shine. Tell the person next to you, just
Sing it with us.
shine on. Hey, over there. Shine on, yeah. Open up and let your light shine on. Let's hear it. Shine on, shine on. Just open up and let your light shine on. Oh, shine on, yeah. Shine on. Open up and let your light shine on. Open up and let your light shine on. Shine on. Open up and let your light shine on. Good job, y'all.
Shine on. Take a moment to turn to gratitude. Hello, kiddos. Oh, you're so darling. Look at you, little people. Thank you for bringing up the offering from the children. So let's just take this moment to turn to gratitude. I'm going to bless this with my phone offering today. There we go. Giving thanks for God's abundance showing up in our lives in just the right and perfect ways. We're so grateful for these gifts so generously shared. We're grateful for the joy of giving to what we love. And now we send these gifts forth as we transform lives that transform the world. And so it is. Amen. Thanks, you guys. Good job. This is the time in our service when we welcome those who are new to Unity Renaissance. If you're here today for the first, second, or third time, we invite you to raise your hand nice and high, holding up the appropriate number of fingers, 1, 2, or 3 for your first, second, or nice. Look how high her hand is up there. And you too, man. Look at you go. Keep it up there till they come around. If you're here for the first time today, there's a card in there. Fill that card out, take it into the bookstore, and you can get a free copy of a previous service on CD. If you're here for the second time today, you get 2 CDs. One is Positive Uplifting Music from Empower Music and Arts, and the other is Sacred Unity Recordings. And on your third time here, you receive a copy of the Daily Word. Thank you for being with us today, newcomers, and we look forward to seeing you again and again.
All right, so this coming Friday night is the next film in our Higher Consciousness film series, which will be at 7 o'clock Friday night. And it is The Next Dalai Lama? Question. This is going to be a documentary of an interview of family members and people who have been touched and inspired by the 14th Dalai Lama before his exile from Tibet in 1959. Are we going to show the clip?
Yeah, let's go ahead and show the video.
I think basically, I'm short temper. You see, something goes wrong. So the immediate reaction is to say, oh, shouting. Particularly, those are my sort of staff member here.
What I hope for in our exhibit, after 80 years, are there certain things you see in all these photos that are characteristic? I would say this person's the real deal. This is a man who could be afraid of a lot of things he's not, and he's not afraid of death. He's not afraid of growing old. So I want to grow up and be like him.
The idea was to convey a sense of how I felt about the individuals I painted. And I have got great affection for His Holiness. I was fascinated by his lips. And in pursing his lips, he conveyed a sense of joy and inner peace. That's what I tried to capture.
He may be the last one in his lineage that will come back as the Dalai Lama with a formal recognition of the continuation of the institution.
At the end, I think last breathing, if my mind clear, I'm quite sure I will remember. While I'm dying, remember about altruism, entire sentient being. So that I'm quite sure. I can practice the moment of my last breathing. If some accident happen or aeroplane go down in the sea, then I don't know.
Beautiful film. And by the way, if you get a moment after the service, be sure to check out this exquisitely, incredibly beautiful quilting portrait of the Dalai Lama from Marilyn Butler. Richard was responsible for connecting up with her and getting that up for not only for our film this Friday, but we're celebrating the season for nonviolence. And it is an incredible piece of art. So thank you, Richard, for getting that up there for us. And to Marilyn Butler for her beautiful work. Richard has a new class starting tomorrow night. Should you tell us about that?
I would love to. As well as Marilyn has some cards. She's a local art instructor, so if anybody wants to learn how to do that or paint or anything, her art studio's over by the beach, and she left some info on the welcome desk. So I am thrilled to be able to bring to you one of Unity's foundational teachings about the 12 powers. We're all made in the image and likeness of God, and we have that image and likeness within us. And the 12 powers are 12 attributes of God that are located, that have centers throughout our body. And the 12 powers class is about teaching you how to access those powers, when to use them, when you're underdeveloped or overdeveloped, and how to use them in your everyday life when issues come up or a challenge comes up, where to focus on. So we'll be going through 12 of them in 5 weeks, and it should be a very fun class, and I'm really excited about showing that to you. So sign up in the hall wall. It's also live streamed. You'll have to put your email down if you want, or indicate that it's live streamed so that Paul knows to send you the link. And there's a required book. You can show up with the Power Up book or just show up. All right, look forward to seeing you tomorrow night.
It's going to be a great class. Reverend Richard's an awesome teacher. This class is happening by popular demand. That's what they say. So we're now celebrating the Lenten season, and here at Uni Renaissance, what we do during Lent is we offer this little piggy box, as we call it, so we can save 40 and 40, save $40 in 40 days, or a little bit more, actually. So you're invited to pick up a box today if you haven't already, decorate it to your little heart's desire, and save $1 a day in there. Then at the end of that, we'll bring our boxes in and share the contents, or donate those to the church operations, but then you get to continue the habit of saving that you will have developed by then. So I invite you to take advantage of this. It's a lot of fun. Marsha Austin is out at the table in the narthex and can provide your box for you.
Save 40 and 40, $1 a day. It's easy to do and it's fun to say. Give 40 and 40, it's money well spent, and something everybody can give up for Lent. So, $1 a day, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I wasn't sure he still had that.
Our community outreach is looking for volunteers to help plan as well as participate in our upcoming Earth Day or Earth Care celebration, which will be on April 18th. And if you're interested in helping with the planning for that, you can see Judy Hackman. I think
Judy. Here's Judy.
Back there. There will also be a meeting for learning a little bit more about what she needs in the planning, and that will be next Sunday after the service at 12:30.
This Tuesday, the church will be closed. We're a polling place here, which is just such a fun thing to do. I absolutely love it that happens here. But we will be closed because it's Virginia Primary Day, and I hope all of you are planning to vote. And so don't plan to come to the church during the day that day, but of course we'll be open the rest of the week. Also want to mention next Sunday, I'm so excited, our guest speaker is going to be our board treasurer and the wonderful, amazing Margaret Jenkins. Margaret, raise your hand there so we know who you are. Yeah. She's going to be talking about, are you living your best life? And we are so psyched about that, Margaret. So thank you for agreeing to that. All right, that's it for our announcements. Let's stand together now and join hands for our prayer. I'm sorry, not join hands. Welcoming the children.
We are walking in the light of God. We are walking.
Welcome back, everybody. We missed you guys last week. Who'd like to share what you learned today? Betty? Okay.
My words have the power to create or destroy. I choose to create with my words.
Words can create or destroy. I choose to create. Did you want to say something? Oh, okay.
We learn about caring, and I care about you.
Yeah. We learned about caring, and I care about you. Come on up, Juniper.
Today we learned about the fifth power of talking and superpowers and stuff. And we watched a video about a kid speaking in front of hundreds of people about ADHD. And that inspired me to talk about my anxiety. And so in the past, I've been shut down because I wasn't good enough. And in drawing, we got these mirrors and we said what we liked about ourselves. And I drew a picture, and in the past, when drawing people faces, I've been saying that I drew Dorito heads. And for mine, I said I was kind, different, intelligent, creative, and shy.
And beautiful.
God takes care of me, and I take care of you. I love all of you.
Did you have something? Come on up.
So today we just made this plate reflection thing, and we had to write a positive word, and I said I'm friendly. And I said, I am going to wave to someone I do not know.
Oh, so wave. Way to go, Jeremiah. Beautiful job. I gotta say, our youth ed department's doing an incredible job. Wouldn't you agree? And aren't our children just so beautiful? I'll tell you what, man, you're incredibly inspiring. Hope for the future. All right, let's stand together now. And just a quick reminder, Curtis will be out there in the narthex after the service if you'd like to chat with him. He's also a life coach, if you're interested in that, and selling his book out there. So Curtis, thank you again for knocking it out of the park today. And let's share now in our prayer for protection, followed by our peace song. Together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is.